Greetings and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm your host, Dr. G, and I'm so glad you could keep our appointment. Tonight's guest is very exciting, and I look forward to this interview. Nathaniel Russell Goldston IV, aka Russ, is a founder of I Am One Holdings, Inc., the parent company for the I Am One Bioenergitix and Regeneration practice based in Atlanta, Georgia. Born in Jefferson City, Missouri, Russ is a graduate of the Cornell University School of Hospitality Management, where his concentration of study was in the areas of organizational management, entrepreneurship, and strategic planning. He formerly served as chairman and CEO of Gourmet Family of Companies, Incorporated, which specializes in food service management for colleges and universities, K-12 private and charter schools, etc. Following his tenure at the Gourmet Companies, Russ left America to undertake a path of self-discovery and spiritual transformation. For 15 years, he domiciled in the southern region of Israel in Northeast Africa, and then 2 years in Uganda. While in Israel, Russ did management consulting, operations management, and served as operations manager at a vegan food production facility. In Uganda, he assisted in the establishment of the country's first Pan-African radio station and traveled and conducted business in Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, Senegal, and other parts of Africa. It was during his time in Israel and Africa that Russ recognized his journey of becoming one. While in Israel, he lived in a holistic vegan community that focused all of its functional aspects on the pursuit of life in harmony with the universe and its creations. Now, due to a lack of access to medical systems in Israel and Africa, Russ researched many naturopathic healing modalities and utilized them to navigate through several major health challenges. It was through the navigation of these health challenges that he acquired his passion for naturopathic regenerative healing practices. Now, Russ's interests are in the areas of practicing bioenergetics as a Nest health practitioner and energy for life health coach, a regenerative health and wellness business development, organizational management consulting, ecotourism, urban resilience, concept development, and more, which we will talk about. Now, at the present time, Russ is working on his upcoming book, I Am One, and I Know It. Help me welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G, Russ Goldston. Welcome. How are you?
Thanks, Dr. G. It's great to be here.
Listen, I'm so glad. Listen, we started a few minutes late, but I'm so glad that we have patience, if you will.
Absolutely.
Right. I am so, first of all, let me just say to everyone that as you're coming on, we want you to click that like, we want you to click share, and we want you to subscribe to my channel if you are not already a member. Please do that for us, and it helps. Yeah, give us a thumbs up. This is going to be an exciting show because, I mean, I know your picture on the, when I put the promo up, you look so business-like, and I mean, not that you're not business-like, but the stuff. I know that what we're going to talk about is going to pique the interest of our listeners for not just the ones that are on the live, but those who are going to see this in rotation and replay. They are going to really become stimulated by the information that you are going to share. Now, I'm trying to figure out where I want to start with you, whether I want to add. I want you to tell us a little bit more about Nathaniel, aka Russ Goldston, the fourth, because I didn't even read all of your bio. I was skipping around because I knew my music was going to run out and you weren't going to have to rock with me. I knew the music was going to run out, and there's so much to you. Let's talk a little bit about who Russ Goldston is before we get into who you are becoming.
Sure.
Because I think you're still in process.
Absolutely. We're always in process. And anybody who sits around and says that they've made it, that's the first one you need to walk away from, or tell them, hey, you need some help, because there's no such thing as arriving. There's always more and more and more to do. You can always do more, grow more, and be more. So that's definitely one of my philosophies along the way. My experience has been real interesting because I grew up, I guess in the shadow of a giant. My dad was an amazing individual, and his name was Nathaniel Goldston III, and he was the founder of a company called Gourmet Services, and it was the first minority owned food service company in America. So I had the privilege and honor of growing up in the household and watching him go through the steps and all the processes and all of the real untold story of the struggle of creating a business from scratch and being the first and in an area and integrating into that business world. So I had that aspect. And then he was very big into the political aspect. So I had a lot of people who were very well known African-American leaders and just leaders in general come through our household, and I had an opportunity to meet them. When I went to Cornell University, Jimmy Carter and Ambassador Andrew Young and Maynard Jackson were the people who wrote my recommendation letters. So I had a very privileged lifestyle in terms of that. I kind of thought everybody was kind of living the way that I was living. And then I kind of as I got older, I'm like, oh, okay, it's really, it's not like this. There's some things happening. So I made a vow to myself that I wanted to learn how to operate whatever business it was that allowed me to live the privileged life that I live first and foremost, before I would then venture out onto my own if I so desired. But I lived a certain kind of way, and there's a certain obligation. There was always this saying, that Black businesses never really succeeded or thrived because the second generation, didn't really kick in, and lots of times, things were left on the table that could have gone on to be great. So in the end, I ended up being one of those. But my initial intention wasn't to do that process. But in that process, I found out that maybe some of all the things that that maybe other people would have thought were very positive, or aspects that were going on, let's just say I could see the underside of some things by the people and who I had the opportunity to deal with. And so I kind of decided that I wanted to venture off into some other things, and I really wanted to see men of color take responsibility for themselves and their families, and really make something out of that. And that was when I was introduced to the Hebrew Israelite community, and through the Hebrew Israelite community, and actually came through me changing my diet. I was changing my diet to a vegan diet, to a vegetarian diet. And so I began to go to Soul Vegetarian restaurant here in Atlanta, Georgia, which is very famous for having, the most awesome cuisine in terms of soul comfort food that's vegan. And we have a great reputation in that area. And I ended up living in Israel, and the community that I lived in was a completely sustainable community. We grew a lot of our own food. We had a clothing factory. We made a lot of our own clothing. We had a school that we governed and educated our children. So it became a very self-sustaining community, not necessarily because that's the way it was originally made, was because of just our position with the government not really supporting us while we were in Israel, that we had to create means for our own. So our own sense of education, our own sense of medical, how to work with things from a holistic and naturalistic standpoint, because access to medical care really wasn't there. So I went through the whole transformational experience, going from growing up wealthy, going to private schools, going to Cornell, and then ending up over in Israel, living as a basic person. I was actually, while I was there, I was essentially an illegal for a while. So, I mean, I was just like what we call the people you see at Home Depot, the Mexicans that were, you hired out for service. Here I am with an Ivy League degree, and yet I'm in a foreign country where I really didn't speak the language all that well. I really still don't speak it all that well. My children laugh at me because I have 4 children that were born over there, but my children laugh at me about it. But anyway, by going through this whole transformation of life and just living in a whole another society and immersing in another culture, it just gave me another global insight. First of all, I was in the middle of the Arab-Israel conflict and everything that was going on with that and that whole dynamic. Then you have the aspect of Israel that was multicultural, multidimensional. So that's when I really realized that white people aren't just white people. I mean, I know they used to say that about us, but like I saw like, okay, that's Russian, that's French, okay, that's German. I started seeing the different nationalities of the European, right, in that country, and then the different cultures that were all blended because of the, you know, basically the three major majority religions all have a claim on that land. And so going through that whole experience, and then while I was there, I was introduced to a gentleman who was starting a radio station in Uganda, and it was going to be the first Pan-African radio stations. And one of the things that I did on the side when I was at Gourmet Services is I had a recording studio. So I used to do, you know, I had a recording studio. So I learned all about the frequencies and recording and equalization and all that kind of aspect in the sound format. And then I utilized those talents to go over there and help him get set up. And it was a 2-year process. And while I was there, it was just an amazing experience. It was beyond. I'll kind of leave that there where it was, but it was just an amazing experience. And it was in Uganda that I actually found who I was. After I got away from everything and I was away from basically most of technology, I lived at the same level as the basic citizens there. So I had an outhouse, you know, where I lived, you know, so I go from living in a mansion in Buckhead in Atlanta to living in an outhouse, living in a place with an outhouse in Africa with one spigot that we got water from that we had to then boil, then freeze and filter and do all this stuff to make sure that the water was good, you know, that we could drink it. And learn how to take showers outside with the bucket, and just a whole, when I tell you, just a total immersion. And then to be able to express certain truths over the airwaves and have an effect on people's lives to where people would literally walk 100 miles to come see the person who was giving them this information, this life-giving information on the radio. They wanted to see who this person was. So they came, and we were able to do all kinds of things in terms of showing the people how to become self-sufficient, how to sustain, how, you know, it was strange. When I was there, you know, apples grew there, but the people who actually there and worked and grew the apples couldn't afford to buy the apples as part of their diet. Coca-Cola was cheaper than water. Mm-hmm. And so there's just certain things that I just saw in certain dynamics where when I was carrying some tomatoes, scraps or whatever to the like we would, you know, dig holes and we put it in there and to fill them up. And on the way I would drop seeds, or watermelon, I would drop seeds, and then I would look up and the plants would start growing. And I actually harvested tomatoes and watermelon and ate them that I just dropped the seeds and they grew, but I was in a country where starvation was an issue. And I was like, how in the world is this possible when you drop seeds and the food grows? But it's because the people just really weren't exposed to certain dietary understandings. And so they relied on certain things that were in shortage, where there was actually food growing all around them. And so being able to expose, you know, different aspects of this, it was just an amazing experience. So having that experience, coming from where I came from and going through the whole Israel and sustainability, getting connection with the Hebraic understanding of the Bible, or the Tanakh, as we say, getting that understanding, getting that foundation from a literal and esoteric understanding, living it, putting it into practice, and then going through the whole Ugandan experience, it just gave me an understanding that basically is if people have access to clean air, clean water, access to nutritionally dense food, access to education, and an ability to just improve themselves if they should so desire, the majority of the problems that we have on the planet right now will resolve themselves at the levels that they exist without someone having to, from the top level, so to speak, come out of their pockets and give up money. Just give the people access to the basic needs that they need to sustain themselves, and they will come up through their own ingenuity and through their own perseverance. They will come up with the solutions to their problem. I mean, to their challenges, because that's all they are. So it's from the mindset of shifting of the mindset and allowing that mindset to grow. They would be able to create environments that they could then foster and take care of their own wellness and build community and brotherhood and everything like that. So if we just deal with the basics issue. So with that, I came back, actually ended up coming back to the United States, and having gone through all this period of time, while I was overseas, I ended up with high blood pressure. I ended up with blood sugar issues. And there was just some other just mental and emotional well-being issues that popped up. And through just necessity, I just learned how to deal with those from a naturopathic standpoint. So it was through that, through learning and this, and I'm still on this healing journey of my mine, is that I found alignment in that area of healing. So all the way to the point where after a while I came back, and then I started realizing that, well, I think this is the area where I find alignment. So I began to study more to bring more form to it and more form to my understanding. And that's when I came into the understanding of bioenergetics and began to study. And as I began to study bioenergetics, then I got into a meeting with Ness Health through a good friend of mine, and she introduced me to the system. And for me, it took all of the aspects of everything holistic that I had been studying and learned about and put within myself. It put it within a system that is technologically, on the cutting edge, yet it gives you information that you can use and apply in your daily life to make the necessary changes to empower you to take control of your own health and well-being into your own hands. Because that's what I've also part of this empowering process that I've seen as I've seen these different aspects of society and humanity, is that, the number one thing is we have to have personal responsibility. We have to engage in personal responsibility and teach and coach and whatever we have to do to allow personal responsibility to come forth in our communities, in our families, and within ourselves. Because in the end, when it all comes down to it, that time from when the time you're born and to the time you leave this place, in the end, what you do with that time is your personal responsibility. It's not anyone else. It's what you do at that time and what you accomplish. Time and energy are two things we have no idea when we're born how much of them we have. So the key thing is to how to go through life and learn how to gauge where to place your energy, where to place your time. Because if you're placing your energy and time in places where you're not getting anything in return, then we call that sacrifice. And in the end, sacrifice just ends in depletion, and you deplete yourself of your vital resources and your vital energy into things that don't serve you. So I had a real good teacher told me that said, once you start engaging and learning about yourself and learning about the human being and the human potential, you'll really find that there's no other thing that you need to study. That is the topic, that you'll find, solstice in. So out of that, I ended up creating IM1 Bioenergetics, and it's an energy-based wellness practice where I use the Ness Health technology, which is an amazing bioenergetic technology, as the basis, as the core of my practice. But I also utilize Soul Realignment. And Soul Realignment is basically where I have the ability to, through a informational protocol of questions and intuition, are able to go in and access the Akashic records with your permission. And I'm able to go in and download certain portions and certain information about you that will let you know that when you originally incarnated as a soul on the planet Earth, where it was that you came from. So, where in terms of star system, or directly from the creator, or you were earthling all the way full fledged from the beginning, we determine that. Then we determine your energetic center, and your primary energetic center is going to give you your alignment as to what your original alignment is when you originated in your purest form. And where you originate in terms of your soul group is based on something or a place where that is most vibrationally to your likeness. So by being able to identify that and identifying what soul group you are in, you have the ability to now know from the beginning, in the original aspect, what your purest original, I guess, your intention in incarnating on this planet was. And then what we look at is, over a period of lifetimes, we make negative choices. And these negative choices aren't necessarily negative because they're evil. They're negative because they go against our primary energetic center that we established in the beginning. So therefore, it causes negative karma into our lives. So what we do now is we take a look back and we go and we identify what this original state of energy is. Then we go through and figure out what karmic disconnect, or what karmic situations happened along the way in a negative aspect, and choices, once again, that you're personally responsible for, that your soul made along its journey through time and to the current day. So now we look at how those negative choices that were in previous lifetimes cause overtones and negative patterns and restrictions and blockages that occur in our life today. So we're repeating these situations over again and over again in lifetimes until we clear them up. Eventually, we will live lifetimes and lifetimes, and it will very naturally, on its own, these karma will clear itself. But with soul realignment, we have the ability to go in ourselves and shortcut that process, figure out what was our original purpose when we came, and now now that we know what our energy center is, how do we now make choices that align with that? That's how we find alignment in life. And when we find that alignment, that's how we bring ourselves into abundance. Because once we make choices along that line that's in harmony with our energetic center, then everything in our life becomes abundance. We have the money shows up, the time shows up, the people show up, the balance shows up, everything shows up. And then we begin to know what we don't need in our life, because anything that is not aligned with your primary energetic center, you can discard it, throw it over your shoulder, and get rid of it and say goodbye, knowing that in doing it, you are bringing access to more vital life energy to you. So there's more details that go into that.
Yeah, may I interrupt just for a minute on that premise? Now, one of the things that I have long held to since I had began my awakening process. I don't know if you know, I was a pastor for 10 years, and then I had an awakening in 2000 to end of 2010. It's almost, I guess it'll be 9 years. It'll be 10 years. I'm sorry, next month. So one of the things that I got a download with regard to soul groups and so forth. You know how a lot of times it seems like people have, like we say, we repeat the patterns over and over again. And it seems as though, sometimes we do patterns over and over again in a lifetime, but they're really a carryover of previous lifetimes. And then what I received as a download was the fact that often the members of the soul group take on different roles within different incarnations. for instance, in one lifetime, I may be the protagonist. Okay, so I'm receiving the brunt of whatever the everything's happening. In the next lifetime, or maybe the prior lifetime, I was the antagonist, and the same people or souls, not necessarily same people, the same souls are just taking different roles and like to go through all of the different particular potential scenarios that might happen in life. So a soul, I'm thinking in terms of that's part of the karmic paying the debt. Oh, you did that in that lifetime. Now you're going to feel you were rich in this lifetime. Now you're impoverished. Seems like when I think about that, you kind of did that in one lifetime. But for most people, it's from, you know, incarnation to incarnation. So does soul, is it realignment or alignment?
Realignment, because
Okay.
when you were first came, you were aligned, and then through negative choices, you became unaligned. And so now we're giving you an opportunity to cleanse and realign.
Okay.
So it's realignment.
Does the realignment process, as you say, kind of brushes out some of these multiple incarnations that one might need so that one could maybe ascend to a higher level, not have to keep looping, if you will, or staying on the hamster wheel lifetime after lifetime? But does that allow one to now have a knowledge that gets that soul to, say, ascended status, that, you know, other dimensional status? What does soul realignment do for one who gets that, has that service? Exactly
You described it. You hit it the nail on the head, Doc. Proud of you on that one.
Okay.
The soul realignment, the whole purpose of it is to shortcut the process of you having to go through the longer process of resolving all the karmic debts within your existence, within your being. So by going to this, we clear out the debt to this point in time, and we give you back to your pristine, to your original intent. We clear you all the way back to that original point, so that then you can go forward from there in alignment with the understanding of where you came from and the knowledge of where you need to go. And so that you can intelligently take control of your life and now make choices that are positive, quote unquote, because they're in alignment with where your energetic center is, and in terms of where you are aligned when you originated in your original purpose from the originator.
Now, we both study religion, right? We both study theology, and you know, when I thought, later on, after, you know, getting my doctorate in theology and so forth, I realized how little I know, how I knew nothing. To have a degree in mastering God is, to me, is oxymoronic to say that, in the sense that when we think of this external God that we have never met, and we go through whatever we go through, when we come out with a piece of paper that says, now, you know, you are a doctor in knowing who God is, and we don't know who we are, where God really exists. And
that's it. You nailed it. I mean, that's the whole point, is how can you go through a whole educational process, get the paperwork, and still not know how to work the creation that the book is all about? Because I've always said, you know, people are the most valuable resources on the planet. It's like governments were created to control people. Religions were created to control people. Money was created to control people. You know, certain aspects of community and different things are meant to control people. When I look through the bottom line, people always say, well, we need some money, we need some money, we need some money. Yes, we need some money, but if money is created to control people and all these other aspects to control people, then people are the most valuable resource on this planet. And once we understand that and begin to embrace that, and in our day-to-day actions, and investing in ourselves, in our own minds, in the minds of our children, you know, in the minds of those in our community, and act, you know, as if, you know, We want other people, use the golden rule, treat others as you want them to treat you, but all the way through all dimensional aspects of your being. When you talk about thou shalt not kill, okay, but that also means, you can't kill yourself by eating foods and drinking things and doing things that are then bringing less life to your body. That's suicide. That's killing, just by eating a diet that is not appropriate for human consumption. All these junk foods and things that are out there. I mean, unfortunately, some of my people live in communities where they're in food deserts, where the only way they can get access to food is through a convenience store. And when you put that kind of stuff into your body, you actually alter your physicality. You actually alter the human being, and you become something else that is an imitation of the original, an imitation of life. So we have to look at these things and try to figure out, how can we create societal solutions? How can we create new communities, solutionary communities that will then go in and give us a new paradigm from which to work? Because it's very obvious that if we look at society today, we can see it disintegrating into chaos. I mean, if you don't see American society disintegrating into chaos, something's going on with you. There's some signals you're missing, because it's disintegrating. But the objective is not to figure out how we're going to bail out this disintegrating system. The concept is, how are we going to create other communal systems that are going to make this system that's in existence now obsolete? Because communities that are based on cooperation versus competition, that's where we have to be moving for in the future. We have to be learning to be cooperative instead of competitive. Absolutely. And it's something that it's something that we have to each take on within ourselves. We have to first master ourselves. I always tell people, if you want to get something going and get a revolution, well, get your square in order first. Because if you just get your square in order, now you've provided an example for others. You've created a higher vibration. That higher vibration, through the quantum concept of entrainment, is going to cause other people who are around you to vibrate at a higher level, just like a tuning fork. When you hit a C tuning fork and you put another tuning fork next to it, it's going to pick up and start ringing because of that entrainment. That vibrational aspect is there. This is how our body functions. This is how we function in bioenergetics, but it's also how we function in community. So by each individual getting their square in order, we have the ability to vibrate at a higher level. We have the ability to influence those around us. And then other people start getting their square. So if you're personally responsible, I'm personally responsible, the next person's personally responsible, then I don't have to really begin to worry about everybody else, because everybody else is worrying about themselves. And so therefore, if I keep that involved, keep that level, then I allow people to engage on their own, get their area invite, get their squares in order. And then now we have a blanket effect that now community can be built based on positive foundational issues, because it's always going to start in the home. It's always going to start with your square. I mean, what good is it to have everything in order outside, everything in order in your business, and when you come home, your home life is a complete disaster? Sure. Your family's got stuff going on. I mean, it's a duality, and it causes mental illness. In the end, it causes a mental illness in terms of, we have a reality that we're trying to push that's out there, but we're actually not living that, and we know we're not living that. So it creates this pull, this tension, this polarity between what is and what we're trying to project, that it causes stress. And stress is that's another form of stress, but it's the malaise of our society. The majority of the aspects that are wrong with us right now are based on stress, and much of that stress is because we personally make choices within our lives that put us in situations that cause the stress in our lives. And then we look around and we try to blame everyone else.
Would you agree, though, Russ, that currently, I'm going to say over the last 9 to 11 months, a month of this year, 2020, just to say 2020, that a lot of what people are experiencing has been induced, fear induced, chaos. We talk, I don't know whether it was you or I don't know whether I'm talking to you or somebody else, but order, there are those who believe that order can only come out of a chaotic situation. And I don't know whether we were talking about that, in the beginning, and what, I want to talk about. I want to digress because I want to get back to some of the technology that
Sure.
you and I are both working with, but I want to have a little bit of the discussion that we had with regard to what, when you start to look at things from a more, a less religious, dogmatic perspective, as many of us have been taught to look at things, and you look at, say, the Bible, which we know came from other documents, other texts and so forth, where they were borrowed and given to people in order to induce a certain actions, responses, restraints, and the like. So by the same token, we have things such as media and the so-called the education system, all of the various things that seek to shape and form our thought processes, and to, in fact, to a degree, to enslave us. If you're an enslaved mind, to me, it might as well be it's an enslaved body. The only difference is you may not have the chains, you may not have the physical chains or the physical side of the bars that you're in, but you're enslaved when your mind is being shaped and molded to think, believe certain things. So we were talking, I believe, about in the beginning, and I think I was talking to you. It's just that I talked to so many people, but I had a conversation with someone with regard to the fact that when the Genesis, and it may have been you let me know if it was you, when that Genesis in the beginning. Okay, so we talked about that. So you talked about, let's talk about that. Come on, let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay, I can roll that one. We're kind of like, because what we were saying is we wanted to understand, we wanted to be able to make people understand that the technology that we're talking about, and we'll be talking about as we move forward in this discussion, are really things that have been given to us at this time, and they're merely stepping stones to get us back into a state that we previously were, and so when we look at so we'll just say Genesis is a very common thing that everyone kind of like, from all religions, everybody has a similar kind of story. So I can just use that from a perspective, but from the perspective of, let's say, Genesis, the first chapter, when we go in and we're talking about, well, let's just say Genesis, first of all, Genesis, the way they translated it into English, they say it's the beginning. Like Genesis was the beginning of everything, and that was it. And from the Hebraic understanding, the Hebraic perspective, the word is Breshit, and Breshit means a beginning. It doesn't mean in the beginning. It means a beginning. And then we go in and we begin to talk about, in the beginning, there was chaos and confusion. So from the Hebraic understanding, the only way that you can have chaos and confusion on the earth is if there's a conscious mind present for it to manifest in, because that's where chaos and confusion occurs. It's in consciousness, it's in mentality. That's where chaos and confusion exists. So the world, in terms of when we look at Genesis, was a populated place. It was a populated place with humans that were there. When they talk about darkness was upon the waters in Genesis, waters is often a synonym that goes along with the people. And from a Hebraic understanding, waters and people are common similitude. So you're talking about when they walk on the water, I'm going to go walk on the waters. It's like, I'm going to go walk amongst the people. So when we're looking at that, when it says darkness was upon the waters, then that means that there was an intellect so to speak, that was imbalanced. There was an imbalanced intellect that was upon the planet, that was upon the men, in the minds of the men that existed. So then we come in with the let there be light. So the light, from the Hebraic standpoint, is always a reference to the intellect of the creator. But it's also physical light, because physical light is a very important aspect of our well-being. So we have light that came in, we have waters that were here, and when you have light interacting with water, there's a charge that occurs. Light charges water. That's how the whole process of plants growing and everything, it's the interaction with photosynthesis, but it's the water that the plant has sucked up that's in the plant that's then interacting with the water that's causing the whole growth process to occur. Humans are the same way. We are 99, when you look at our molecular structure, we are 99% water. So when they talk about the similitude between waters and the human being from a Hebraic standpoint, when you look at a scientific standpoint, we are water. We're 99% water. So that's a very accurate statement and a very accurate similitude to draw, that people are like the waters. So when we come in, so then we go into the aspect that what is the basis of all physicality that we deal with? Atoms. Atoms are the building block of all physical reality, as we've been taught. Well, that's half the picture. The other half of the picture is atoms are made up of phonons, which are sound waves, and photons, which are light waves. So in the core, all physicality is based on wave structure, and that wave structure is light-based. So in the beginning, light, let there be light, that light carried through every aspect of physical manifestation that happened from that point on. So light is the basis of all light. Intellect is the basis of all light. Now we look at another concept, information and energy. Information plus energy equals life. It equals your reality, because energy in its natural state is chaotic, just like it is in the mindset of the confused humanity that was in Genesis. Tohu vavohu. There's confusion. Energy in its natural state doesn't really have a order to it. The thing that brings order to energy is information. So in those quantum electrodynamic fields that were there in the beginning, and that word was spoken, let there be light, and that sound went forth into those quantum fields, there was a manifestation that occurred that created the dynamics of physical reality, because atoms at their core are based on light. So based on this sound coming forth and light coming into it, and there being waters present, there was a manifestation of physicality. And that physicality is the human, our earth that we live in, and our human structure and everything. So to say this from a philosophical standpoint is just that everything is vibration. So that when we're looking at our body and we're treating our body, if we want to get to the root of the issue of what's going on with us, then we have to go to the energetic body or the light body in order to achieve the true, or to remove the distortions and the blockages, because that is the dictator of our physicality. So the energetic body that we have, that our atoms are resting upon, is what the creator in the beginning said when he said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness, because they're in a higher dimensional state, and they don't exist on the, well, they don't exist. They exist in the third dimensional level, but most of that was going on was in the 5th through 10th dimensional state. And then when they created man, frequencies were donated, and man's frequency body was created. And that frequency body was descended into physicality through 4th dimension, where our thoughts and where our thoughts and our consciousness exist. And then our third dimensional reality is our physical body. So we exist on all.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is, that would be the fall of man, as man descended into a fleshly, the light body came into a
Right.
earthly, if you will, a fleshly body, a third dimensional body, which would be the fall of man, which, you know, the fall of man, we're told a different story of what the fall was, you know. But, you know, it seems to me that it's the same story, because if Adam ate of the tree of knowledge, if Adam received, you know, the information that put it in order, so to speak, to come into that, in a sense, it almost seems like it's the same story, but given in a more anthropomorphic sense than its actual scientific biological occurrence that may have been, you know, that this something was going on, but they had to give it arms and legs, and, you know, they gave different outward appearance. Instead of explaining it as it was, they had to bring it down to man's way of seeing things, that some God was there, you know, working in the dirt, putting and shaping and forming, instead of it happening as a part of an evolutionary process, or not even a bioenergetic process. Is that what because that's what we're learning more now because of what we're doing.
Absolutely, because that's the importance of tying it back to the Genesis model, to understand that when we talk about bioenergetics, we're not talking about a new model or something that is new. It's just something in the format that it's in now, and the way we're presenting it in our current reality. It's new, quote unquote new, because we've forgotten so much about the other aspects of ourselves, from allopathic medicine, which deals with purely the biochemical aspect, but then there's the whole quantum aspect of us that is the other aspect. And so now there's a coming together through integrative medicine and different things like that, where the energy medicine and the allopathic medicine are crossing together and working functionally in the same area. Because when you're dealing with because we definitely need surgeons and we definitely need doctors. I mean, if you're in a car accident and you got to have, you know, some kind of transplant or something of that nature or whatever, you want an experienced surgeon who knows how to physically go in and do that and to repair you. You need that. So it's not saying that we don't need that aspect of caring for the human being. It's just that when you ignore or have ignored the energetic aspect, which is you're just treating the atoms and you're not treating the energetic aspect of which the atoms are made. You know, Einstein tells us that you can't treat the same problem on the same level that it occurred. You got to go sub. So what we're doing now is we're not treating the atom or the atomic or the Newtonian aspect. We're treating the quantum aspect, which is the space in between, which is the majority of what we're made up of. So we're cleansing that energetic space and bringing it into proper vibration, so that our body can raise its energetic level to its optimal rate, so it can naturally go into a healing response, because our bodies are designed from the onset to completely heal and repair and regenerate themselves, you know, indefinitely. It's only through our choices and the way we handle it, and through stress and through things that we put on it, that we disintegrate into a degenerative state of being. So what we're trying to do now is reverse or regenerate that and get our vibration up to different aspects. So one of the aspects of that is understanding that, you know, in bioenergetics, every single cell in our body, every single molecule, every single organ has its own signal, its own identifying signature signal, signature sound, signature frequency that identifies and resonates with. And collectively throughout your body, your organs, all the various organs and everything, each within themselves, your lymphatic system, all of these have fields of energy that are specific to themselves, that we can identify and separate and tell which one is which and be able to measure. And so collectively, that's called the human body field. And the human body field was a term coined by Dr. Peter Fraser, who was one of the co-founders of Ness Health, who at the core is what I use in my bioenergetics practice. But he coined the term the human body field. And the human body field, your heart is the center. It's the brain. It's the dominant aspect of the human body field. It projects a electromagnetic field from you physically anywhere from 8 to 15 feet from around you. And in this field is a field of communication for your body. So it was determined, if you understand that biochemically, we have 70 trillion cells in our body. It is absolutely physically impossible to push enough chemicals through your body biochemically in enough time for you to be able to spontaneously react to all the various things that happen in your body, to coordinate just the movement of my hand up and down. All the biochemical, it can't be done biochemically. So how it's done is within this human body field. So actually cells communicate on a quantum field that is driven by our heart, that then dictates our physicality. So our energetic body then is going to dictate how our physical is. So we're able to see, using bioenergetics, where there's distortions and blockages in information, or where information is sluggish, or where the signals are sluggish in this field, and we're able to go in and correct those things. And then by correcting the information, we're able to then cleanse the energy. And by cleansing the energy, your body will then it will raise its frequency up to its optimal rate, where it will go into natural healing and natural cleansing by raising its vibration. Because the whole thing about bioenergetics and energy is that we're bringing balance to life. We're bringing balance to our lives. So all the aspects of our kidneys, we want to bring balance to them. The aspects of our mental and emotional wellness, we want to bring balance to that. That is the whole key, and where we're trying to be is hit that, what we call the 0 point energy that they talk about. You want to hit that still point where everything comes together and everything is one. And then with that, all possibilities exist in that moment. So we're in healing our body and healing the energetic aspect and dealing with the frequencies and boosting the frequencies, we're supporting our body in its own healing journey. It does the work for us. It's just that we do things mentally, physically, emotionally, environmentally, that all then affect our DNA. From epigenetics has shown us now that our DNA it's changeable. Toxins can change the nature of your DNA. Exposure to stress consistently in your life can change the nature of your DNA. And when the nature of your DNA changes, when your cells go into replication and regeneration, they then go back to your RNA imprint, which is your original imprint. And because of the stress and strain that's been on it, it's now degenerated. And so when the cell goes to make a new version of itself to replicate, it goes back and it's making its replication in a degenerative form. So now when it goes back, we go into degeneration and we go into dis-ease, based on this. So the study of bioenergetics, or the practice of bioenergetics, is using technologies that allow us to go in to adjust and support the human's body system, the body field, the electromagnetic field, in its healing journey and vibration, to move onward and upward to the beings that we were at one time. And now, we're looking to use this technology to bring our understanding back to its original level as the high level intelligent being that we were in the very, very beginning.
So we don't practice medicine, and we don't heal. We don't prescribe medicines and so forth. But from a standpoint of the energetic balance of bringing someone to optimal energetic balance within their own being, knowing, like you said, if, for instance, with the AO scan, which I think we'll talk about too, we know that there's about 120,000 different, frequencies that have been identified throughout the body that correlate with various organs and so forth. So if a scan will determine that, say, the liver has an imbalance in its frequency, then it's going to pinpoint that there's something there, because it knows what a perfect energetic kidney signal should be, or heart, or whatever. The eye, the ear. It was interesting. I scanned my eldest son the other day, and he wasn't physically here, but I did it, distant, and I used, my L scan and his voice from the cell phone. And when I was looking at his comprehensive, and I asked him, I said, do you have an issue? I said, are you having issues with your left ear? Because, what we're seeing, after I had optimized the scan, I could see that his left ear, or one of his ears, either left or right, there was still a higher, it was further away from, zero than the other. And he said, as a matter of fact, I am dealing with XYZ. And I thought, what, this is amazing, because he was actually, at his house, and I'm scanning him with the AO scan, and I'm saying, you got a problem with your ears? And he's like, yeah, I do. And the ear that I said, because I could read it on the scan, you know what I mean? So these kinds of things, the interesting thing is that allopathic medicine does, why it does not embrace this, because I would assume it's because they get paid to be the experts. And so, they can get a premium for all the kinds of medications and poisons, I'm going to say it, that come from the PDRs that they look at and say, oh, these are the symptoms, and the PDR says take this, and that, as opposed to being able to energetically just identify, and a person can verify some of the things. I mean, I'm sure pretty much you may not know what your lipid panels and different things like that, if you don't know, but there are certain things. If you see that there's an imbalance in the liver, or you see that there's something in the L5 of the spine and they're having issues, and they say, yeah, but you see it there, then they can verify that. So why is it that Western medicine and allopathic medicine kind of condemns anything that's holistic, when holistic is who we are at the core?
Well, yeah, and really key, because the technologies that we're talking about aren't new. They've been around. For instance, this is the device you were just talking about. Let me bring it up properly. The AO scan, and it's a very, it looks like a phone. It's a military grade device. It was inside of a $38,000 program. And what they did was they began to take all of that technology, because it's actually 4 different technology platforms within this one technology, or one, I guess, software platform. And so you're able to go in and utilizing this technology. Well, first of all, like I said, it's a phone. It's a military grade phone. I mean, you can actually run over this with your car. You can throw it in the water. And you can take pictures underwater with it. It actually functions as an actual phone. But what they've done is they've taken portions of the phone aspects out of it, and they've input software aspects that deal with this bioenergetic scanning technology. And with this AO scan here, the first technology that they have in it, and the most powerful technology they have in it, is the inner voice. And the inner voice is a technology that is out of Spain. And those of us on this, who understand the importance of Spain and the historical importance of Spain, and to understand that the most powerful aspect of this technology comes from Spain, comes from the minds of Spain, comes from the vibration of that region of the earth, is very important to recognize, and to
the Moors.
The Moors.
Yeah.
And so looking at that, this technology is dealing with, when I say this, the inner voice is dealing with the mental and emotional wellness aspects of you. And it's amazing, because it does it using radionics. And and creates what we call rad tones. And so when we go in, all you do is just take a simple 10-second voice sample of your voice that you records right into it, and it'll do the analysis, look at all the overtones and how everything, because as you speak, there's overtones that are in your voice that tell you, I mean, you know when someone's upset, you know when someone is not feeling well, you know if someone is in the quote unquote in the mood. You can tell by the vocal, some of the vocal overtones, you know, it's expression of how they're doing and mentally and emotionally, or expressing the mental emotion that's coming forth. So what this allows us to do is go in, we record it, it comes up, and the form, it analyzes it in terms of the musical notes. So the 12 tones of the chromatic scale, it utilizes that, and those 12 notes, it makes an analysis of where you are excessive in the overtones, and where you are, where you have, you know, some sluggishness going on in terms of the overtones. Your ideal is to be at a 50% level where you're right in the center, you know, and balanced. The chances of that happening is usually in the case of someone who is like a monk or something like that, who have a lot of time and who have spent a lot of time inner work, and they can balance all their mental and emotional well-being perfectly in one moment of time in order to achieve this. The rest of us have a bunch of ups and downs that we go to on the regular basis. We go to work, our boss pisses us off, we come home, our children haven't done what we asked them to do, and we're mad at them, and all kinds of things are just throwing our energy all out of whack. So what this does, this allows us to go in, speak for 10 seconds, does the analysis, it tells us where we are tonally deficient, it gives us a report that allows us to determine, you know, whether we're having situations that are, you know, self-criticism versus self-accepting. Another aspect could be repetitive thinking versus, you know, free thinking. And so these certain issues that come up about your mind and mental wellness, you know, that sometimes when you see it, it kind of like can be a little bit offensive. You kind of like, it makes you like kind of swallow some things. You're like, man, I got all that going on, like for real. Like I thought I was pretty smooth with my stuff, and you look at it, it's like, no, you're slightly narcissistic and all these other things. And I'm like, oh wow, you know. So anyway, looking at that, so those things, the first 3 reports that it gives you are going to basically tell you where you're overactive in the tonal frequencies, and then it'll give you rad tones, you know, because we're dealing in a reality that is, you know, results in equal and opposite actions. So if something is out of whack, then we're going to then provide a frequency that's equal and opposite, that's going to bring it down into a reality of coherence or imbalance. And so if something is low, then we're going to find a frequency that is equal and opposite, that's going to press it up into that neutral coherent zone where we want to be, where we experience wellness and euphoria and all those great things, and we feel grounded and everything is working for us and everything is flowing and everything is smooth. That's where we're trying to get to. So this is a tool that allows us to do that without having to sit in a shrink's chair and regurgitate everything that's going on with us and who pissed us off and who did what to us and everything like that. We can actually speak those things into this device, and we can get the frequency balancing that is required mentally and emotionally for that. And we say that if you do this inner voice and you listen to it 3 times a day for 14 days, it's the equivalent of 20 years of psychotherapy. I mean, we've had people go on here and do the inner voice, listen to it, and have a complete catharsis about some element in their life, and come up lighter and better, feel different. Even if they don't have a full catharsis, they feel different after they listen to the tunes, because there's a tone, because there's a balancing to it. Also, with that whole system, there is a set of light wave optical glasses, and these light wave optical Glasses. Oh, you got yours, Dr. G. Go on with it. Go on with it. You ready? You ready?
I'm supposed to be looking at orange to get myself together now.
Right. So now you have the ability. Purple was one of my colors I needed to get myself together. So I had the purple ones on at this point. So with that, it gives you then visually the waves or frequencies into your eyes and into your mental emotional well-being that you need to bring balancing, because on that report that's provided, it tells you what colors are excessive. For instance, if red was the color that was excessive, you wouldn't put on a piece of red clothing at that point in time, because that's something that's overactive. If the balancing color for that red was a green, then you would wear something green that would then balance you out, or you would put on the green version of these glasses and you would merely wear them for 15 minutes and it would give you an emotional and mental balancing. So all this information comes out in the inner voice. It tells you what emotional issues that you have going on, what to balance them with, and then what the balancing emotions in general, a description of that from a mental wellness standpoint, to give you some hacks on what you can do in order to better that self and bring balance in that area. So that's just one of the technologies, but the ability to balance your mental and emotional well-being through listening. I'm sorry, I failed to mention that in addition to those reports, you get 4 MP3 recordings that are 3 minutes each that have what we call rad tones, and these radionics tones go in and they balance your mental and emotional well-being. So those things are assigned to you. You put those on with regular earphones and you listen to them, and it balances your mental and emotional well-being. Now, that's just the inner voice. That's the first aspect, and that technology is out of Spain. The next technology in the AO scan device comes out of Germany, and it is the vital scan. And it's not the vitals that we think about in the hospital traditionally. It's vitals that are complete blood and urine analysis, hundreds and hundreds of categories of items that it goes through and gives you an idea of whether you're in balance or out of balance. Now, the beautiful thing about that is, because that can be, because it has, and it's in a format that your doctors will understand, so there can be no misconceptions or misconstruing of information. It's in a format that the doctors understand, but it's also in a format that the layperson can understand, because it utilizes a form of green and red dots to tell you whether that item is in range or out of range. And if you're out of range, then we'll be red, and we will look for aspects in wealth and in your health and well-being that we can utilize to bring it into balance. And then if you're in balance, it'll be green. Now, the beautiful thing about it is, after you look at this and you see where you're out of balance and everything, there's a button on there called Optimize Frequencies. And when you hit Optimize Frequencies then goes in and it gives you sonically through this bone-inducing headset that's here, that I will unravel so we get the whole visual on it, that you take, and when you place them, you put them all on your head, over your ears, and you place them right here on the bone right in front of your ears. And what that does is it allows the frequencies to be broadcast directly into your trigeminal nerve, and then goes into the rest of your brain from there, and it pings back and forth, balancing the hemispheres and then giving you the frequencies to balance out those systems. So when you hit Optimize Frequencies, you get a series of tones that now go through and they balance out those areas that may have been in red. They take them over to a green status, which means they're in range, and then you're optimizing. And so after you've optimized, many of the things that were red, and Dr. G's holding it up, the light is a little challenging on it in terms of the people being able to see. But when you turn it up like that, it's going to give you a pre-scan reading and then a post-optimization, where you can actually see that items in your health and well-being, the frequencies have shifted from being out of range and into range. Occasionally, we'll see situations where something that was in range the first time shifts to be out of range. It shifts from being green first, but after we optimize, it turns red. And that occurs because that item was borderline when the optimization was done. And then after everything around it became optimized, it kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. It was like if you're standing in line and the one person doesn't know what's going on and everybody in the line steps back and that person's standing out front, that's kind of what happens in that situation where things get optimized. And then those frequencies now that were seemed like they were in line now show up as being out of line. So that is an occurrence that happens on that report. But our objective over a period of time is to take your body's energy, raise the vibration to its optimal level where the body will go into its natural healing responses and go in and regenerate and heal and replenish itself on its own. All we're doing is donating frequencies in support of challenges that we find in our physicality. That is what we're doing with the AO scan. So that's the vitals. Then the next part is comprehensive, and the comprehensive goes into all the aspects of your organs, glands, your DNA, your chromosomes. It goes into a complete analysis of it. And in that analysis, it's on a scale of 1 to 9. And on that 1 to 9 scale, we're talking about balance when we're talking about an energy. So on a 1 to 9 scale, 5 is where the balance point is. And at that balance point is where you want to be. On that reading, anything that is 4, 3, 2, 1, that means that that organ or that gland is underactive and is need of boost and support in order to get it up into its proper balance and range in terms of energy, bioenergetics. If it's 6, 7, 8, 9, then it's overactive, and we need to find something to bring it back down, bring those frequencies back down into a coherent zone where you're into balance. So with that aspect, then we're looking to push them back into balance, utilizing the optimization. So if we optimize, because at the end of the comprehensive, there's also optimized frequencies. You optimize the frequencies, they will show up. First of all, there's a 34-page PDF report that deals with every organ, and it shows you all the different aspects of every organ, every gland, whether it's in balance, out of balance, before what the scan number was. Those are the items that are outside the box. Then if you look at it within the box, the numbers that are inside the box, those numbers are telling you after optimization. The ideal range for us is that 4, 5, 6 range in that comprehensive, and that's really all you're looking for. And then it also tells you an overall of each aspect, how far away from that ideal balance you are. So say if it says previous is 40% from 0, and currently it's now 32%. But what that's saying is when it did the first scan, the ideal vibration for that organ, that gland, or that region being assessed in the comprehensive is 40% away from being where it's supposed to be, which is at 0, totally balanced. So if you then optimize and it now becomes 30 or 32, that means now you have brought your body, the energetic body wave closer to where it's supposed to be in terms of optimal, level of energy. So after you do these scans, so we recommend doing the comprehensive and the vital scans once in the morning and once in the evening, if possible. If you're seeing a practitioner or someone is doing it for you, then it would be good to do them once a week. We can do them remotely, and the remote way of doing it is simply we can call the person on our AO scan phones, have them place their phone to their ear, and while they're in there, we have already set up a file for them. We put in their information, their birth date, their email address, I guess, and also taken a picture, uploaded a picture of them in there, and then created a file. Once we create that file, we can then go in the programs, go to the vitals, hit vitals, have them hold the phone to their ear, just at the same place that I was putting the bone-inducing headsets. They can hold the phone to the ear, you hit vitals, and you're able to take their vitals anywhere they are in the world right then and there on the spot. There's a person who I'm working with, or actually 2 people that I'm working with, who are in Israel right now dealing with some major health challenges. And I've been able to utilize these frequencies to send frequencies to them overseas to where they are receiving the benefits. And even situations here in America where people have loved ones who are in the hospital, but they can't go in and visit them because of the COVID regulations, you're able to do a scan on your loved ones in the hospital, and you can actually have information yourself and see how they're doing, physically, from these scans. Now, there's one thing I did fail to mention. When we're talking about the vitals report on the blood analysis and urine analysis, when we normally do blood and urine analysis, there's a 30 to 40% variability in the accuracy of the results. They did so much work with these scans and with these technologies in Germany that they got it down to a 15 to 20% accuracy rate. So these scans, the information that's coming out of here in terms of whether things are in range or out of range, are more accurate than the actual blood work that we do when we go into the hospital and see our doctors. The reason that is because when we do the scans, we are scanning the blood and all of our vital items while they're in our body in place, with the influence of everything that's going on with them happening inside of our body. So therefore we get a more accurate reading. When they take the blood out of your body, first of all, it turns red because of the oxidation. And then usually by the time that they get to the blood analysis in the labs, it's dried. So it's out of the environment it's in a new environment, it's dried, and now they're taking it to try to figure out and pinpoint what's going on with you. So this gives you the ability to, without using the same evasive or invasive. I mean, this is invasive, so they're not intruding into your space. They're not pricking you, sticking you, contaminating you with any kind of device or anything. You're just able to do a scan, and it scans your body field. And we say that your body field is your best doctor, because energetically, everything that's going on with you mentally, emotionally, and physically is stored within your body field. Your body field will not lie. It cannot lie. By nature, it has to provide the truth. So when you're going in and using these technologies to access and be able to read this field and read these fields, then you're able to get accurate information on how to educate and empower yourself on how to go into healing. Because we assess, we make assessments, we then look at it, and then we go through and we educate ourselves and empower ourselves to heal ourselves. And we use the frequencies and we donate themselves to our body to support our own healing. And that's what is achieved with this AO scan. Now, the comprehensive part that I mentioned, that whole component was from the Russians. And those were the Russian frequencies that they've used for decades in the space program and in sports programming, where, back in the day when American astronauts used to go into space, when they came out, they were emaciated. They had to be cared for, hydrated, and everything. But when the Russian cosmonauts would go up and come back, sometimes they would come back in better health than they were when they left. And they didn't have all the challenges. The reason is none of us knew at that time, but what was going on is they were using those frequencies and broadcasting them to the Russians while they were in space, and they were maintaining their physicality because they were dealing with the energetic body, which is the master control system for the physical body. So by energizing and keeping the energy levels and optimizing them, they were able to maintain the health and wellness of the astronauts and their sports personnel utilizing these frequencies. So it's something that's none of this is new. What's new about it is that it's been licensed and put inside of this software format. Now, the fourth aspect of this technology is the Cephi, which is one of my favorite aspects, which is the subtle energy frequency imprinting aspect. And this subtle energy frequency imprinter allows you to take something like this homeopathic energy, and it has sucrose pellets inside of it. And what we can do is take this, we first place it on the device, that is the AO scan in the Cephi region, and we are able to go in and hit an erase function, and the erase function will present a fire kind of on the screen, and you hit this fire, and it's a fractal image. And what's happening as it's moving, when you place this homeo energetic on here, is it's erasing the energy that surrounds it. It's clearing all the energy and vibrations that are dealing with it and just leaving the information of the sucrose pellets there. Then after that's been done, the flame will go out to nothing like it just did, and it starts over, and you know that it's erased. Then I can go into imprint, and I can hit imprint, and the screen actually splits. There's something aspect down here on the bottom, and then there's a square here on the top. And what you do is you place your homeopathic energy on an informational device on the top square, and then you can take something, say your blood pressure medication. Your blood pressure medication that gives you side effects and has negative aspects that go along with you in terms of like the side effects. So you got negative things happening with that, and you don't really want that aspect. It has been done with in concert with the medical doctor, that you can actually take the medication, you place it on here, and through this fractal imaging that embraces 0 point energy, the energetic image of your medication can be imprinted into the sugar caplets in this homeopathic energetic device. Believe it or not, we live in the days of Star Trek and doctors, Dr. Scott and all those, Dr. Spock and Scotty and all those folks. We have those devices now. So this fractal imaging, it actually, what it's doing is it's taking a bioenergetic copy of the medication, the herb, the supplement, whatever it is you put on there. You put whatever what you believe one dose is, what one dose is. You put one dose on there, and through that one dose, then you can, because whatever you put on this also deals with hologram. So whatever one dose is, every aspect in this homeopathic, in these little pellets, which I think there's about 60 or 70 or so inside of each one of these, every one of these is equal to one dose. But if I just decide that I want to take the whole thing and eat all the sugar pellets, it's only going to be one dose due to the holographic nature of the way this information is programmed. So what's happening is the energetic image is taken from the medication, from the herb, from the supplement, and it is placed into this in an energetic form. So then when you take it in this energetic form, the side effects are no longer there. You just get the energetic aspect, and your body, because you're talking to your energetic body, which remember I said is your master control system, which controls your physicality, because it's absorbed into your energetic system, then your physical body by nature, by law, has to respond according to what the energetic body dictates. So there's, within this device, they're going to have all the Bach flower remedies, all of like items, people who deal with essential oils, doTERRA. They're going to have all the frequencies for doTERRA programmed in here. Now, what's going to happen starting, I think, maybe in January, because this is a startup company. The actual startup for the company is January 1st. We're just, Dr. G and I are in here as foundational members, and we're coming in just to come in. We're actually the beginning guinea pigs. They made all the mistakes on us, and we've gone through it all now. So we've got a great product. And so now we have the ability to, when quick scan comes, we'll have the ability to, in the morning, wake up, do a recording, do a scan of 10 seconds, and we will have been able to record the energetic imprint of all the different supplements that we take, and they'll be stored in here. When that happens and that scan is done, it will then tell us the top 3 supplements that we need to take for that day in order for us to have balance, that are going to have the most effect on us. Because many of us, we talk about the pharmaceuticals and their effect on the liver and everything, but many of us don't understand that if you overtake your supplements, if you take too many supplements, it taxes your liver the same way that as if you're taking pharmaceuticals. So there's no, you're not escaping by just, and then by saying, well, let me just take one of this and one of this and one of these and one of those, let me just take 20, 30 pills and just taking all that, and you're going to be covered. You can actually harm yourself more than you are actually helping yourself in doing that. So this inner voice, I mean, not the inner voice, the AO Scan Cephi program will actually have the ability to tell you which supplements are best for you to take at that moment in time, which can in the end also save you money, because you're not just taking a whole bunch of supplements and then urinating them down the toilet, you know, because they're excess in your system. You can actually save your money and utilize them when your body actually needs to. Your body will talk to you through this AO Scan device and let you know what you need. Now, previously, we didn't need an AO Scan device. We could just communicate our body through our internal communications. We would understand innately what we needed, when we needed to eat, when we needed to rest, when we needed to do certain aspects. It was all innately within us. We would innately know when someone in our family would need us, because we would be able to feel and interpret the vibrations through our system and be able to respond. We would know even if someone is all the way across the country, as long as they're connected to us, or across the globe, if there's something going on with them, we would be able to feel it in our spirit, in our being, and be able to send them healing vibrations of wellness. So that was the aspect of where we were. And even Lauren Swinson, the CEO of AO Scan, will tell you, first and foremost, this is just a stepping stone. This is just a device to help us regain our former, reality, our former, pristine, selves, when we were in the image of our creator, in the vibrational frequency of our, creator. So, we always joke around and say, the AO Scan is one of those situations, and this bioenergetics aspect, it's a system where, it's a revolution where it's not going to be televised, but it's going to be broadcast, because that's how we deal with healing and information in bioenergetics. We broadcast it into the body and broadcast it into our emotional and mental well-being, and we take it in and we find balance. Balance is the whole key of what we're looking for. You're muted.
I muted when the fire truck was coming by. I forgot to unmute myself. I just wanted to interject. From a standpoint, I know Dr. Mark is always talking when we have our presentations. By the way, and there's a lot of questions and comments in the comment section, including great presentation, Dr. Goldston, from Dr. Beverly Orr to you. But the fact that he talks about, the various things that he uses, the erase, imprint, the Cephi software to erase, and he talks about even taking one's driver's license. He says, they have, they put certain information on the back of the back of the driver's license has like a barcode, or I don't know, with some scanning, if you will, and QR scan. And he's like, well, you can erase. He puts his credit cards and his various things on there, erases one thing, and then imprint, say, prosperity coming in, or whatever. If maybe with the driver's license, you're imprinting something to make sure that you're never, stopped by the policy enforcers or something like that. But it's not just I think it's important to say that it's not just it's something that you're taking physically that you can erase with this. And in terms of, because I'm also with the Limbic Arc program, and sometimes people may find it hard to fix their brain around what you're saying. What do you mean energetically? But when you think in terms, say, of sending, if I send you a picture, text you a picture, it's right here. If I send you a text, I didn't do anything but push a button, and that picture goes to you. It goes through the cloud. It goes through the holographic system, or through the field, if you will, the quantum field, and it goes to you. We don't think in terms of that. Well, by the same methodology, we're able to take the supplements, the vitamins, and the various things, like, with the limbic arc, for instance, and the same thing we can have with this, you can actually take those things energetically and get the same result. Because as you said, the mind working in concert with the energy, you're going to get the same end result, and a better result than if you just took a handful. I've got this, that, the third over here. I've got so many pills that I could probably fill this office up with supplements. We don't have to do that with this, because like I said, we can figure out what we need, be conservative with it instead of overdosing it, and never have to feel the negative effects of that, because we have something now that's taken us back to, I thought when you were talking about that, what comes to mind, like when the cats or animals will go out in the yard and they know exactly what grass to eat. When you talk about, instinctively, they know exactly what to eat in order to, if they're not feeling good, then they go out and they pick their own medicine. And it's something natural. Nobody has to tell them, take this, take that. They know what to do with themselves. But there was a time when we were like that. And like you said, what this is doing, what this technology is doing for the average person is it's starting to retrain us to think even in terms. First, you got to get the mind and trained back that way, because if you don't believe it, you are not going to receive. I mean, it's not hocus pocus, but you still have to be able to receive it. Like you said, you can't heal anyone. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I just can't just randomly heal anyone. I can send energy out and people can grasp it. But if somebody says, I don't want that, then they will not receive it. Same thing with this technology.
Exactly. No, it's very important. First of all, that's a very important point that you bring up. When you use this type of technology, I'll break it down a little bit in terms of how we're structured, in terms of our human form and everything. From a quantum physics perspective, we are a 10-dimensional beings. We function in 10 dimensionals of reality. 10 dimensions of reality. Okay, the first through third are right here in our physical in physical density. Our physical bodies reside in third density. Our thoughts and our consciousness reside in what we call fourth dimension, fourth density. Our soul, our oversoul, or the part of us that has not incarnated into physical reality, is the fifth through 10th dimensions. Now, when we look at that, on the fifth dimension, this is where resides the Akashic records, and the Akashic records can be looked at as the informational superhighway for everything that has ever happened, every thought, every deed, every word, every song, every sound, everything that has ever happened with every individual that has ever existed is in this record in fifth dimension. And when we get into fifth dimension, there is no time space aspect of reality. So everything is present. Everything is in the now. So in that, these are the records in which, the shaman tap into. This is the records that Tesla tapped into. This is the records that Einstein taps into. These are the records that Muhammad and all of those that are the great leaders in the past, they're records that are they tap into, where all the information exists because it's there, because there is no time. So therefore there is no past, there is no present, there is no future. It's there. So you're able to go in and access this information and pull it down and take advantage of it. Now, how it works for us is that our higher self is that fifth through 10th dimensions, which are more ethereal and more light. And as you come down through the density, each layer is more dense. When we get down to physical reality, it's much more dense and than our other aspects. So how do we get information back and forth? The information travels through our endocrine system, because from the fifth dimension, it goes into our thought and into our consciousness. Through our thoughts and consciousness, we then trigger feelings in our endocrine system that then provide a feeling in our body, that's how things are translated from that higher dimension into our current dimensional reality. It's actually through this system of going through our thought, through our consciousness, from our consciousness, into our physical reality, that goes into a physical feeling in our body that's generated through our endocrine system. So when we're looking at that, that's how we are processing energy from these other dimensions into current density. So that's what we're looking to engage. By engaging this and by understanding things in fifth dimension reality, that's where this AO scan is working. There is no time and space in this.
Right.
For instance, if I have somebody's name, if I have their date of birth, and if I have their picture, I can create a bioenergetic signature that is their own signature. There is a 1 in 3 trillion chance of duplication. So because of that, creating that bioenergetic mix, I can then, by using the facial recognition that goes on in processing, because your health and wellness, it's actually a whole practice of analyzing your facial structure to tell your well-being. There are certain practitioners that you can just stick out your tongue, and they can give you a whole reading about your well-being just on looking at your tongue. So there's those that can read your face and tell you about your emotional and mental and physical well-being, because they can connect it all to the meridians and traditional Chinese medicine in your body, and determine whether there's distortions, distractions, any kind of blockages or anything like that are going on. So with this technology, with the AL scan portion, we're able to go in and read this information and make the adjustments that we need to be able to bring balance into this body that we're working with.
I do want to add one other thing, Russ. You said that this technology, you said that this was new, and I just want to bring a little bit of correction. The only thing that's new about the AO scan is the mobile, if I'm correct, because the larger larger
version of it came in packed in a computer, and it would cost you $35,000 to $48,000 plus $200 a month to be able to service it. So it was only practitioners and very well-off practitioners that were able to afford that technology. And what they've done, due to the increase in technology that has happened now, and cloud-based, and the cloud coming into fruition, they're in the process of now taking all of that software aspect and putting it into the cloud. And by putting it into the cloud, they're able to now condense it into a manner where they can put it into this device that we can take and have. And for an initial investment of $745 and $150 a month, you get a frequency pocket doctor, as I call it. You're able to go in and I mean, because in the selfie aspect, you can program it to broadcast abundance, wealth, health, peace, stamina, inner peace, all kinds of different aspects of mental wellness. You can broadcast.
Yeah, it's about a little bit of anything. Some of the titles are breathe free, concentration, determination, and finish. Just need to focus, confidence, self-esteem, and love, coordination, creativity, determination, energy, focus, forgiveness, gratitude, health, strength, and recovery, health, immune support, it goes on and on and on. There's so many different, and that's just one thing. That's not everything. That's just one category. Yeah, that is just absolutely one category. That's the quantum reach.
Right, that's the quantum reach aspect. Then you go into the quantum frequencies, and due to the fact that they deal with certain aspects of health, we don't really name what they are, but there's all kinds of health challenges, over 1,100 of them that are programmed in there. And they're some of the most modern challenges that we have going on in terms of inflammation and different aspects of discomfort and dis-ease that are going on. There's all kinds of frequencies that have been specifically designed to target those aspects of well-being. And you can broadcast those into your well-being, into your state, into your human body field, and allow you to bring a healing response and bring yourself into balance utilizing these frequencies. That's one of the amazing things about this, Cepheid technology, is the ability to then take on, like when she was explaining about the driver's license, the reason that we live in a real interesting society. So I'll just put it out there the way it is. When they get our pictures and take our pictures into these government photos, there's things that they do to these photos that put certain energies on them and put certain energies on us as people who are citizens or whatever, who have these IDs and identifications or whatever they utilize, because just the same way that I said that they're able to read and scan the picture and tell your well-being, we can do it from a bioenergetic standpoint. Well, they can also, do it in terms of, in a negative aspect too. So by taking the frequency that the government uses to do these types of things, or anyone else who may have access to your government picture to utilize it to do certain things to them, you can then you can put it on the erase, and you can clear all energetic aspects that have to do with that picture and that image anywhere that it finds itself, in the universe. Yes. So it's real important that it's not woo-woo. It's actual. That's like scientific. I'm speaking science here, 5D science. And this is why we got to study as a people in this season. You got to study yourself to show yourself approved, because anytime in the past that you want to put, deal with us, you want to put it in a book, you want to put it somewhere, we'll never find it because we're not going to study. If it can't be just consumed or heard in a song, we're not going to take it in. So it's really important that we impress upon ourselves and upon our families to study these frequencies, to study what they do. Because when we're talking about this era that we're in, and I know Dr. G, when we kind of mentioned, from a devil's advocate standpoint, people say, well, can't someone put something in these frequencies? I mean, you all have all these devices now. Can't they like change up the frequencies and cause you some kind of malice situation to happen within the people utilizing these devices? And what I say to people, I utilize the concept that I used to utilize in management when I was in the corporate world. And one of the things that people used to always worry about is, so what happens if we train all these employees and everything, and then they turn around and they take all this training and they go and work somewhere else? And my response to them is, well, what happens if you don't train them and they stay? I mean, what's the end result? You got an untrained force. They're loyal to you, but they're untrained. So you're not getting the impact that you want or the delivery that you want to your client or to the end user. This is the same kind of, situation. We want to impact, the end user. We want to get to the client. We want, so I tell them that, look, they got 5G, they got ARP, they got all these HARP technology. You are already a target. They already have everything that they need to completely wipe out every human being on the planet, wipe the slate clean. They've got every frequency in all of these machines that they have where they can impose. I mean, they're running the stuff now. They're running it through the 5G network, which can be targeted and it can be weaponized and directed. I mean, so for people who say, what I say, this is a godsend because it gives you the ability to address your own frequency set, to enhance your own frequency set. And for me, what I've seen, in the people that have utilized this device, I've seen the miracles happen. I mean, I've seen them within my own being, within my own mental and emotional wellness. I mean, I'm an avid golfer. I've had 2 instances now where I've used the inner voice prior to playing major nerve-wracking tournaments, and I am known a little bit to be a little bit wheezy in the gut, kind of like I get a little uptight and get tightly wound about some things. And by using the inner voice and expressing the fact that of what my fears were within the golf game or what my fears were in terms of performance, and listening to the balancing tones, I went out and each time I have I've shot one of the best rounds that I have played in my entire life. And I started playing golf when I was 5 years old. And I'm something years old now. So it's been a long time. It's been a long time. But just note that there's been a lot of golf played. And for me to be playing some of the best rounds now, and I know that it's because I'm listening to this device and I'm hearing the confessions of other people that I'm working with in my practice, and they're telling me, look, I've listened to this thing like 2 days and I'm like more organized. I'm less discombobulated. I feel calm. I feel grounded. I feel that there's less anxiety. So it's really important that we, address ourselves and address our environment, take care of ourselves, self-love. We're always, told we got to be strong, we got to be rough, we tough, we can't cry, we can't do, man, you brothers, I'm telling y'all better cry them tears. Let those tears out from what's been done in the past. Release that energy and embrace the newness that comes when you're able to release that. Don't hold all that in. We're holding generations of energy and stuff built up within us, and we've got to release it. We've got to find a way to release it. And this AO scan gives us the ability to address the mentality, to address our mental and emotional well-being, as well as address our physical well-being. So I tell everybody, don't go with the okie doke and don't miss out. Don't be a part of the revolution that wasn't televised, but it was broadcast. Utilize these frequencies, broadcast, and we just say share. This isn't a sales pitch. We're on this call. Dr. G and I are here because we care about you all, and we want to share this technology, this information with you so that you can come on and get aboard this revolution. We got to come on as a people. We got to come on and build up our frequencies, build up our understanding of ourselves, and build up our communities to create this new paradigm, this alternative that's got to come forth out of this chaos and confusion that has been purposely created in our environment, that has absolutely been one of the greatest blessings in my life, because for me, this is when everything came together. So many of us have had time to get our marital relationships back in order because we were locked in the house. We had no choice but to deal with issues. We've got issues together with our children. So this is a magical time when you look at it. And if you want, let's look at the positive aspects of it. There's technology that came out just in this time, at this time, that gives us the ability to combat a lot of the things that are going to be placed upon us with this evolution of technology and these 5G phones. And also, let me go ahead and answer that, because I know that's going to be one of the questions. This is, yes, it is a 5G phone, but they have placed technology in here, a chip and plates that block 90% of the radiation that comes off of here, as well as the earbuds that you're able to buy as part of this program. They're 90% effective in terms of blocking off the radiation. So that's important, because I know one of our team leaders in the AO, she's real sensitive to radiation. And when she holds a iPhone, she can literally feel like the radiation is disturbing as she's holding it in her hand. And when she holds it up to her head, after a minute or two, she has headaches because of the radiation coming off of it. So she's really sensitive to it. This phone has given her absolutely no problems, and it performs on the same level. So they've done a lot of consideration in the company of AO Scan about the end user and about the health and well-being. And it was an effort from a genuine effort from the heart of the CEO of the company to get this technology into the hands of the communities, into the households, because we didn't want to just have to be in practitioners. I mean, I love people coming to see me, and I love them coming to visit me for practitioner, but as a practitioner, but also if I can get them to go ahead and pay that $745 and pay $150 a month and have this as their own pocket doctor and work on themselves in between their visits to me, they will see substantial increase in their growth and development.
And they can get rid of their cell phone, because it is you can actually use it as a cell phone. Now, we can't put we can't download other software. It does have the regular, you know, like for your Gmail, your emails and that kind of stuff. It has that on it, but we wouldn't put unfortunately, for those who do Facebook and all those apps, we don't put all those other apps on it, because this has been optimized, because this technology is so powerful. It needs all of the optimization that the company has put in here. But as far as a phone, you get a phone number that you can use to call in and receive calls and call out. So say if you say, well, I can't pay that, but if you're paying for a cell phone, why not exchange that for something that's going to help you on an energetic level? Not only you, your family, your friends, or even if you wanted to really, if they wanted to perfect the use of it, it can become a practitioner. There's training also to help. Some of us are already some level of practitioner, but you can actually perfect it and begin to utilize it, and perhaps, you know, for some exchange of energy, you could actually, you know, it'll pay for itself if that's what you want to do, because not everyone is going to want to purchase this. And it also comes in a tablet form, which I'm waiting for my tablet. I think you probably have yours, but yeah. So we have the ability to give, and I took my reports last Wednesday to my chiropractor. So I go tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting of how she reviewed what she thinks of the reports, my vital and my comprehensive. So, you know, I told her about it the week before. I emailed her, you know, forwarded her my emails of my reports. And so tomorrow we're going to talk about it. I want to make sure you're still there, right? Make sure you didn't lock up. Can you hear me? Let me see. Can you hear me, Russ?
Absolutely. That's clear. Yes.
Okay. No,
I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like you said, the reports that when if you take it to your medical professional, like you said, they will be able to read these. They'll see things and things that they recognize, and you know, they understand that. And so, you know, we just want to. There's all kinds of questions in the chat. We have two weekly meetings, Zoom calls on Mondays and Thursdays that anyone can. You could tell them about that. We have a Facebook group, AO frequency.
Absolutely. Anyone can join. It's breaking up a little bit. Alpha and Omega frequency group
on Facebook. But we have a Zoom call on Mondays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern for about an hour.
So you can go on Facebook.
And so it's also broadcast on the Facebook group live while we're doing that, but you can actually be on the Zoom call. You get to hear more information. A lot of wonderful practitioners and just everyday people. Not everyone is a practitioner, but people are, you hear the testimonies of, as you know, you said, Russ, of the people who are utilizing the technology and the frequencies. Personally, my personal testimony is that when I did the scan for myself, it talked about, you know, why I should wear the orange glasses. I have some issues, some emotional things that it said affecting my low back and so forth. I go to the chiropractor every Wednesday because of my L4, L5, and some other things that are going on in my low back. And it picked it up just from me speaking for those 20 seconds or so into it. And then it also said that I had some issues that I was dealing with some anger issues. And I was. And so I had to get to a place of forgiveness, because one of the things I realized is that, I've always realized this, but again, it came to my remembrance, is that I'm not hurting anybody else by stressing and being angry with somebody else. I hurt myself. And so I needed to get past that and get to a place of forgiveness and healing for my own sake. And it picked it up. And I thought I was very positive in those few seconds that I was speaking. How did it pick up all of that? But it picked it up. And then I scanned again. before I did anything about it, and it picked it up again. So it's like, it's on point. I scanned a brother in the ATL remotely, and he said, "That's not me." And then a day later, he called me back and admitted that what it said was absolutely true. I forgot, I don't know you. I'm just reading what comes out from you doing the inner voice. And then he just, like you said, sometimes what it says makes you go like, no, that's not you. I'm not egotistical. I'm not this. I'm not that. And when you stop and think about, or I don't have past issues of hurt from childhood, but I talked to one that said to me that he was very, very sexually promiscuous as an adult, and it resulted in some stuff. And his scan said that he had some childhood, and then he said, well, I don't consider, when he thought about it, this necessarily as a trauma. But when I was 4 years old and he went, I knew what he meant. An adult, older female had violated him. And as a result, I can see, with that, what came out with the scan and my intuitive gift, that it affected him. It gave him a distorted view of sex, and it then caused him to have some problems, resulting in what he's dealing with physically. And it picked it up on the scan, and then we were miles and miles and miles apart. He was just talking into it. So it's real. It's real. It's really real. And I'm gonna
real.
Yeah. We are almost at the end of this interview. Of course, we can go longer, because I just want to give you an opportunity, because we didn't talk about it. And these last, take the next 5-10 minutes. You have a vision. You have a vision for sustainability and just coming together with like-minded people. And perhaps you might want to share that with the viewers.
Sure. Well, kind of, ducktailing off of what I was talking about before with my revelations of having been to Israel, having been to Africa, and understanding, what basic concepts that people needed. My vision going forward is to create what I call solutionary communities, and these are communities. I use the word solutionary because it's bringing revolutionary solutions to community. And I'm looking at it in terms of a wellness aspect. So what I'm looking to do is to create what we call a regeneration centers, or wellness and regeneration centers, where people are able to come and we go through the different modalities that I've discussed. We've talked about soul realignment. We've talked about working with the Nest health system. That is, I work it in complement. They're both scanning systems, but I work in conjunction with the AO scan, the Nest scan. That whole program and everything. That's a $30,000 program. So when I tell you, it goes in depth in terms of your emotional and mental well-being, but then it shows you how and what part of your body is affected by emotional trauma. So there's a brain hologram program within it that could go in, and you click on it, and you may see that something that you had issues in your adrenals and in your kidney area or something like that, and you'll look at it, and it'll say isolation, and it'll say past shock or trauma where you felt isolated in your life, left alone or left to die, or desperate and wanting, or something like that. So I don't know what incident may have happened, but when I say it out loud and they read it in that report, the individual can resonate with that. Now, once I have that information from the Nest scan, I can then tell them, well, we're going to go to this inner voice on the AO scan, and I'm going to have you state that issue in the inner voice in the AO scan, and then it are going to then adjust. And then if the rad tones, with that going, then I also can utilize, because the Nest will also tell me my health frequency, which is actually this device right here, which is a pulsed electromagnetic frequency device where it is matched up to all the different aspects of your body, and you can broadcast frequencies into there. And so I can create a specialized set of frequencies imported into here, and then also broadcast this to my clients while they're listening to rad tones. I also have another therapy that I utilize simultaneously, which is oxygen therapy, where I then put them on an oxygen concentrator, so they're getting oxygen. The oxygen is then firing the mitochondria in their system, and mitochondria is producing ATP, which is what every cell uses to do its job within your body. So I'm boosting the energy. I'm then listening to the emotional, mental well-being, listening to that. I'm broadcasting into the body, balancing that out. And then I also have another device that's a scalar laser that I use to unwind different aspects of the body. So you're getting a whole unwinding process. And so what I want to do now is to create a place where we can, other practitioners who do other modalities, such as Dr. Mark Armstrong, who has an amazing modality that he uses called Soul Constellation. And Soul Constellation is where you can heal 9 generations back and 9 generations forward with this whole psychodrama role play that is one of the most amazing processes that is on the planet. So if you're in Atlanta, Dr. Mark, but it's like taking talent like Dr. Mark, Dr. Beverly Orr, who's in metaphysical practitioner, and she has all kinds of modalities. So you bring these people together into one location, a brick and mortar location, where they're able to see people. But at that brick and mortar location, you also have extended stay, facilities where people can come take on the healing practices, because some of this trauma that we have, it's going to take some time to deal with. So my wife is also a healer, an intuitive healer. And in fact, she's one of the aspects of where we're trying to go back to. She is an AO scan herself. She can put her hand on your scalp and treat, first of all, any ailment of the scalp. She can heal absolutely. She's had 100% success rate. But when she's working on the scalp also reveals and opens up and reveals self about your personality. Your grandmother may come, an ancestor may come, give a message to you while she's doing the whole process, or she'll just tell you, what's going on with your stomach, and just like, there's something that's really like agitating your stomach, or what's going on with your knee, what's going on with your shoulder, and bring up certain things that all just come up energetically. So there's that aspect, but she has a whole barrage of healing modalities that are very unique. She has a social work background, and she uses these modalities we call mental detoxification. So for people who've had some hardcore abuse, mental ailments, different things like that, and particularly in couples, now the thing with her, and the rest of us, now if you're going to come to us, you got to come with the concept of healing. Because if we see that you're really not trying to heal and the intention is not there, because that's the main aspect of the fifth dimension, is that intention is the number one thing that drives all manifestation in the fifth dimension. Your intention has to be right. So when you come to us, you have to have decided that I want to heal, I want to make a change, the intention is there, and then we begin to work with that to bring you forward, but you have to be willing first. So I'm looking at how can we bring these different healing modalities together under one roof, virtually as well as physically, create a community that is a total sustainable community where all the housing and all the buildings and everything within this community are all sustainable. Then these healers and different wellness practitioners come and they live within this community and work and function together. And it's kind of like Israel, where they have a kibbutz, where people with common interest and common expertise and skills live in the same community and work. So my concept being is that you create a naturalistic, HMO almost, where you come in, I can analyze somebody on a NET scan, figure out a whole bunch of different things that are going on with them, but then give them to other practitioners for other health and wellness and well-being. And we begin to grow our own food using aquaponics. All this has been designed. Everything that I'm saying, there's a person that I can put with it that can do what it is that I'm talking about. But the whole point is about creating a sustainable community where all of our needs are met within the aspects of that local community. And then we use it as a healing mechanism to heal the rest of the world. Make it a scalable model, that can be set up here. First one, flagship here in Atlanta, and then moving on from there. So we're looking at really like a 30 to 100 acre property that can be set up for a lifestyle that is all geared around life, living, and love. That's it. Those are the things that we need within our community. And that's what these solutionary communities are all about. That's what Bioenergitix, I Am One Bioenergetics and Regeneration is all about. We're just here to create these healing centers to heal the world, because there's so much information about this new paradigm. But first thing is first, we got to heal. We have to heal. And once we heal, we can expose ourselves and expose our communities to a new paradigm. We can change our whole lives within an instant. We're quantum, So we are literally quantum beings. So that's what we're doing. The vision is to create these scalable communities where people come to live. It's about health, healing, and wellness. It's about sustainability. So the homes are off grid. People don't have, we want to be able to get land that we can control, where people don't have property taxes, where people just buy your land. Once you purchase your real estate, your house is your house. No one's going to come around annually saying, well, it's your house, but you need to pay me this property taxes on it. No, we want sovereign or free land that we can claim as our own, that we can set up, that we can create the food systems. And then if think about it, if your food is taken care of, if your housing is taken care of, all the expenses of running the house is taken care of, now your resources can be directed towards building and establishing yourself. We have to take on an entrepreneurial spirit now. We cannot go work 9-to-5 jobs any longer. We can come together and work collectively, but in our collectiveness, let it be entrepreneurial. Let it be about enhancing life. Let us create products that are going to bring and enhance life, not to take away and detract life. Make your decisions based upon that. That's kind of like the mentality of what's going, creating mindful communities where people are responsible for themselves, but they're also looking out for each other. And just, enough with all the dumb stuff. People who want to put the ways of the world down and come and create new societies where we can live at one in harmony with the environment, because we have enough challenges with that alone, that if we need to change our focus, get off the games, get off the Xboxes a little more, put down those things, pick up a few more books, or at least my kids like, well, we can just Google it. All right, well, then just Google it. If you don't want to pick up a book, Google it, but read, intake information, because we're at a critical time right now. So I just say we're embracing what's coming. Don't let stress, take you off your square. That's what we're trying to alleviate. So get with your practitioners, get you an AO scan, share this types of technology and information, with people who are around you, and become one. That's the whole purpose. When I say I am one with everything. I am one with me. I am one with you. I am one with the creator. I am one with the creations. So that's that oneness. That's what we want to try to, achieve. And so my little mantra for my moving forward is each one be one. That's our objective. We want everyone to be one, whole. We want to create whole people that come together as whole people and come together in marriages and make super beings. We don't want half of a person looking for all of their information or all of their justification for their being in another person. We want two whole people who are wholly responsible for their well-being to come together collectively, create a team, and go forward and be fruitful and multiply. That's what we're looking for. So that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking to do. That's what I'm doing. And if you all are interested in the vision and taking this thing forward, we want to create these solutionary communities. We need funding. We need talent. We need creativity. We need all of those aspects. We got an overall structure in mind, but we're going to leave it to the people to organically fill in the details so that everybody is vested in this process. We're building people, loving life, and living love.
That's amazing. Listen, Russ, I appreciate you so much. I'm gonna call you Dr. Russ. I know you're pursuing your doctorate in the ministry that you're working on, but you're Dr. Russ to me already. So for all that you do,
well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't take that lightly.
Well, I appreciate you, and from the comments that have come in, the information has been phenomenal, and I'm pretty sure normally what happens with these shows, I get a lot more viewers after the fact. So I'm running your email, your contact. I want people to be able to reach out to you, not only for the various services that you provide, but also who want to link up with you with regard to the sustainable communities concept that you are looking to not only just promote, but to actually institute. So we want you, because there are a lot of times, a lot more, and others are, really looking to be in that level of community. And like you said to me, though, you're looking for like-minded people, not like-minded individuals who have that oneness, that holistic spirit, and that spirit of cooperation, and Ubuntu and all that stuff. We need that kind of connection with one another. And so here is a person that's doing a lot. And I know you have some bit of land. And I do know that there's a group we saw that just recently in the Georgia area of 19 families or so forth that bought 90 acres. So, if 19 families can buy 90 acres, then, we reach out across the globe with our broadcast. People are in, other countries and other states. Like I said, again, I say, make sure you share this. If you know that somebody should have seen this video, then please make sure you click the share link and put this on your page so others will be able to see this and get this information. Again, we have Zoom calls on Mondays and Thursdays for AO Scan. You can reach out to me if you want that link in order to log in. If you're if you're interested in doing this it is a business opportunity. It's in the process of being, there's some reorganization to make it even better come January 1. But I think more so even than the business for me, it is the fact that it is the holistic aspect and the mental and emotional well-being that I'm beginning to see gain from this. And so you want to look into this. Again, I'm grateful for you being on the show. I'm thankful for all our AO Alpha and Omega frequency members. I know quite a few are probably on this call, and I thank you all for tuning in. And we will, see you on Thursday, and hopefully, you got something out of this. This is a very good presentation, particularly the AO scan piece. We might be able to lift that out and use that. You might be able to use that for your promotions. I'll make sure you get a copy of this. Of course, it'll be on YouTube. But again, I appreciate you. Really appreciate you coming on the show. Really appreciate all of you and those of you who are paying attention. We always have some few people that are having their own conversations in the chat, but for the most part, people are listening to what's being said, and I appreciate you all for doing that. And I think with that, we're going to probably say good night. I am going to, I told you what I was going to do. There is an event coming up, and I normally don't put up flyers for events, and I haven't figured out I don't have a flyer that's going to cover the whole screen. But I told you that I was going to do this for this individual, because there is an event that some folks on here may be interested in. And so as I go out, I just want to put up this little promo. It's not a promo, but at least the ad. I want to put this picture up and maybe I can talk about it just a little bit. So there is a mock trial that's coming up. I believe it's in another week. But the Moorish American Allegiance, www.moorishspring.com. If you're interested, says, have you ever been inside a courtroom to defend your sovereign rights? If you have to make a quote unquote special appearance, would you like to know the tribunal courtroom etiquette? And you are in luck. This September, IACH has, make sure I say, organized an opportunity for you to learn what to do and not to do in a mock trial. So if you're interested in finding out more about that mock trial, please contact Brother Jalihu at www.moorishspring.com. You can get the information and find out exactly when and where that is taking place. I want to again thank you, Russ. Thank each and every one of you for being on the call. And we gonna rock out with my favorite theme song, which is Dr. G. Thanks, Russ. You can rock out. You didn't rock, coming in, but we can rock going out. How about that?
I can rock out on the way out. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Good night, y'all. Dr. G. Really? Oh, shit. Yeah, that's me. That's the short version. We going out with the full version. Here you go, y'all, because some of my viewers, they like the long version. But let's go out with the long version. Again, thank you, Russ. Good night, all. Dr. G. Really? Oh, shit. Yeah, that's me. 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 Dr. G.
Yeah, that's me.